Good morning and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes and it is Thursday the 18th. The 18th, come on hands. We're going down the advent calendar a little bit. It is the 18th of December 2025. Thank you for joining us this morning on the show. We've got Lost Missionary, we've got Andy, we've got Chris C, we've got Diz, we've got Viper Scott, we've got Gallifreyan Wren, we've got Townsend V. We have got Pete's music in there, and we've also got Sarah and Jenny and others. Hello, everyone. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, all you need to do is give us a like and a subscribe. You don't have to give us a like, but a subscribe is necessary in order to join in with the chat with our socialites here who effectively become part of the show because someone might write something or maybe generously give a super chat that sends us off a completely different tangent to what I was originally going to talk about. So before we crack on with everything else, I'm going to set a little target here, a little target for the show, which is going to be for 10 super chats, any colour. You've got an hour. No rush. And then I will shower you with digital confetti, which is confetti. It's confetti, but we say confetti because it's a joke. Okay, so it's a little inside joke for the people, for the regulars. Hey, and Diz loves it, don't you, Diz? Yes, you do. Right. Anyway, okay. So we're going to talk today about the EU, Ukraine, Russia, and frozen assets. Yeah, I want to tap that asset. That doesn't really work, does it? Okay. So European leaders, EU leaders, are meeting in Brussels today and tomorrow with and maybe the next day, maybe every day till New Year, with a decision pending on using Russian sovereign assets to back funding for Ukraine. It seems simple. These assets have been frozen for 4 years. You would think that this would be a no-brainer. What are we going to do? We're gonna get those assets that we got in our financial institutions, in our banks. We're gonna get it out. So the core question is going to be whether to loan Ukraine money secured against immobilised Russian assets, frozen Russian assets, or have a look at other options for lending money to Ukraine to fight in its defence of the vile, barbaric invaders from the east who have decided to come to our continent and fuck shit up for us. Like a bunch of twats. Like a bunch of twatty twats. Because over here on the Politics Social channel, we don't care about getting demonetized. We can say what we like these days. We're the only channel left that doesn't have to worry about the algorithm of anything. Because you, in particular, Alistair here, help to make this channel what it is. We're like uniquely funded. Thank you very much to Viper there for the £2 super chat. To get the confetti goal started for Diz. Thank you, Alistair. That's very kind of you. I've got frozen assets, but that's just the weather, says Sid. Yeah, you don't want frozen assets, do you? It's very painful, I think, when it thaws out. The money on the table, okay, is 210 billion euros. This is total frozen Russian assets, which are held in the EU. The largest share is held in Belgium at Euroclear, which is a bit of an issue, which we're going to come to in a moment. So that's between 180 and 185 billion euros of the 210. So it's the absolute lion's share of this money is in Belgium. Okay. Figures vary by which outlet or news site you look at, but the lion's share is in Belgium. So you've got the EU, they have EU frozen assets, but they're not uniformly spread out over the EU. For instance, Belgium has 180 at least billion euros of them, whereas Hungary has none. It has none. And we need to come back to that as well, because honestly, Viktor Orbán can fuck all the way off to the end of the universe and then fuck off some more. But we'll come to him in a moment. So the proposal from the European Commission is that of this 210 billion figure, just under half, 90 billion, is going to be used as a loan to Ukraine from 2026 next year to 2027, right? And the EU estimate of Ukraine funding needed to cover that time is between around 135 billion euros. Now, the UK also has frozen assets, and it has quite a big chunk of frozen assets as well. So does Japan, and a few other countries that are not part of the EU. So it can be made up from those other sources, but we could really do with this 90 billion being released by the EU. And the idea that it's going to be a reparation loan, as they call it. The EU will borrow against the frozen assets to raise funds for Ukraine. So it's not like they're just stealing it. They're not just turning up and going into the big bank vault and then loading up their pockets with gold coins, okay? Or grabbing them out the air like the end of the Crystal Maze. That's not what is happening. They are gonna use the money as leverage for loans, which will then be passed on to Ukraine, which it does have to pay back. And the underlying Russian assets remain immobilized. Russia can't access them. And the loan gets repaid if and when Russia pays reparations, and then Ukraine EU mechanisms repay the borrowing. So there's a couple of layers to this, you know. And so far, the EU has previously used windfall or interest profits from the immobilized assets to help Ukraine, but not the principal. The principal is the main sum of money. They're using like the extra stuff on top to pay Ukraine, but that is, I mean, it's not buttons. It's still a lot of money, but it's nowhere near as much as it would if they could use the capital of the money to loan against, to borrow against, I should say. So EU has now backed a indefinite immobilization of the assets, as reported as designed to avoid repeated renewals where a veto could derail the freeze. You know, a veto from who else but Hungary, but also possibly Slovakia and the Czech Republic, who are also problematic for other reasons. Look, at these guys want to go back into the Soviet fucking Union. They want to go back into the Soviet sphere of influence. They want to bring back the Stasi and the death camps and the fucking sending people off to Siberia. Yeah, be my fucking guest, lads. Go on, fuck off. Honestly, yeah, if you don't want to be part of Europe, if you want to be part of the fucking northern wastelands of Asia, yeah, fine, go. Let's go with God. Didn't give a shit. Hungary's a fucking basket case. It's got the highest fucking inflation in the whole of the fucking I think in the continent of Europe. You know, not including Russia because that doesn't count. But yeah, 25% it was. 25% it went up to inflation under Orbán just a couple of years ago. 25% inflation. Jesus. We went up to 11% and everyone was shitting bricks. But you know Orbán is changing the rules. Do you know about this? So there's going to be an election next year in Hungary. Viktor Orbán is the leader of Hungary. He's a fucking demon. He is an evil, vile piece of shit. He is fucking vermin personified. He's Europe's Trump in many ways, him and Nigel Farage. And he's changing the rules, the constitutional rules, right, to allow him to be president for life. And he's using the same techniques as Erdogan in Turkey. He's also using the same techniques as Putin did. So don't forget, Putin. There was term limits in Russia, 2 terms, right? So you could be president for 2 terms. So Vladimir Putin gets in 2000. He gets 2 terms, and then up in 2008, he's 2 4-year terms, right, as president. So what he does is he swaps with his mate Mendeleev, who becomes the president, and Putin does a little switcheroonie and becomes the prime minister. And while he's the prime minister, but still kind of running the country, you know, he gets the parliament, the Duma, to change the constitution to allow Putin to run again as president for another 2 terms, which he does between 2012 and 2022, right? And then in 2022, he got them to change the constitution again to reset the number of terms that he's had to 0. And that sets him up to run again in, I think, 2028. And I think they've expanded it now. So it's like an 8-year term that he's serving. So he's not going to even face elections till, what, 2036 or something? And then he can stay on till the foot. I don't know. It's just, honestly, this is what tyrants do. They change the rules. They don't like reality, so they bend reality to you know what they want. And Viktor Orbán who has constantly undermined the EU. He is one of the reasons why the EU is so ineffective in so many ways, because unfortunately the EU was set up as a consensus group. It was like, okay, on a lot of issues, not all issues, but a lot of issues, they needed consensus for all the countries to sign off on something, to say, yeah, we will incorporate this into the law of our country. That is fine. And Viktor Orbán has been vetoing for years now, since he got in 15 years ago. He has just been vetoing every fucking thing that the EU want to do, especially when it comes to Russia. And now it looks like he's diddling his own system in order to make sure that he stays in power, even though he's tremendously unpopular at the moment. And the opposition leader to Orbán is like 10 points ahead in the polls or something. Like he's going to get absolutely mullered in these upcoming elections unless he gerrymanders them, unless he decides to call off the election, unless he changes the constitution to keep making president for life, which it looks like he's going to try and do. So this is one of the reasons why I think that the EU needs to get its fucking act together and enact Article 49. You remember you heard a lot about Article 50. That is the voluntarily leaving of the EU by a country, right? By a member state. Article 49 is the involuntary kicking out of a country by the rest of the EU for being a bunch of twats. And Hungary at the moment, and look, no diss to the people of Hungary, they're lovely, but except for the ones who vote for Orbán. But Orbán himself is a fucking demon. He is a fucking wretched piece of shit who is so far up Putin's arse he can see the future. So this is hanging over this whole debate at the moment in the EU, and I don't know if it's going to get resolved, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit here, and I'm being brought back to earth by Umka with a €10 super chat. Thank you so much, Umka. Fear-mongering that this decision will force money out of the EU is Russian propaganda. There are only a few areas in the world where laws work, markets are large, and currency is stable. EU, USA. Yeah. Well, one of the things that they're threatening, isn't it? Thank you very much for the super chat there, Umka. Is that Belgian assets in, I don't know, Kazakhstan will be threatened if they get this money over. But they're not even giving the money over if they do this deal, right? Let's just say if they do this deal. They're loaning money using the frozen assets as collateral. That's it. The frozen assets are going to stay there in the bank. They're not turning up. It's not a bank heist. They're not breaking in. Like fucking one of Batman's villains, and big swag bag over their shoulder and then throwing it at the wonderful people of Kyiv. No, that's not the way it works. It's a bit more complicated than that, but God, people fucking hate complexity, don't they? If there's something that I could sum up this century, it is just a flight from complexity. Our lives are becoming more and more complex, more than ever before in human history. We use devices every day that are hideously complex, and yet we just want to go back to a notion of simplicity where we get to blow bubbles, burst the bubbles. Yeah, a flight from complexity. Which I understand, honestly. Life, moves pretty fucking fast. You need to smell the flowers sometime. Anyway, listen, so this is really crunch time because Ukraine's finances could run dry in months without a funding boost because of USA and Putin's poodle, Donald Trump, the orange menace, the tangerine tyrant, the Cheeto Benito. He's cut all the funding to Ukraine because he's a fucker. Although there was a vote yesterday in the American Parliament in their Congress, and they called it. They said they were going to give funding to Ukraine. So I don't know, that's going to fucking work. I don't know if Trump's going to sign off on it. He won't be allowed to by his lord and master Putin. The EU officials are citing a cash crunch starting around next spring, and that's the target now for getting these mechanisms in place. The key institutions you need to know about are Euroclear, which is a Brussels-based securities depository holding most of the immobilised Russian assets, as I've said. There's a European Commission that is proposing the funding structure. There's a European Council where leaders decide the political direction. And there's the rating agencies Fitch, which has placed Euroclear on negative watch, linked partly to legal risk exposure. So this is the worry of Belgium. Euroclear and Belgium is that they will get sued in Kazakhstan, where there's Belgian assets in Kazakhstan or somewhere, under the Soviet sphere of influence under Putin. They'll end up being dragged into court and all that. But the thing is this, right? As Umka says, like, where are the places they're actually going to have to fucking do any of this stuff? They can just say no. Just say no, fuck off. And it's not like Belgium has a huge fucking stake in the Kazakhstani fucking economy. It just doesn't. And there's no WTO anymore because it's been nuked by Trump. So what's going to happen? You know, which courts are they going to be taken? Are they going to be taken to a court in Russia? I don't think so. They're going to be taken to a court in the EU? No, because no EU court's going to look at it. The European Court of Justice is going to go, nothing to do with us, lads. You know, fuck off. Sorry, Russia, are you part of the EU? No, you're actively trying to destroy it. Well, then, fuck off. So I think that the exposure, the risk has been, as Umka said, I mean, it feels to me like Russian propaganda, like, oh, you know, you freeze our assets, and then you leverage them, you leverage the assets for collateral, you know, for a loan for Ukraine, and we'll sue you, we'll see you in court. What? Where in Dagestan? Okay. Anyway, so Belgium's position. Belgium is the central blocker at the moment, and this is the blockage that needs to be unblocked, like a fatberg. The Belgian PM, a guy called Bart de Wever. Is it Wever? It sounds like I'm saying weather wrong. Weather. It's Wever. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, my Belgian friends and colleagues, but Bart de Wever has not been persuaded to change Belgium's opposition as of a couple of minutes before I started streaming, and Belgium's stated concern is they're being left with a multi-billion euro liability if courts and claims bite and the scheme fails. So Belgium is asking other member states for financial legal guarantees to share risk, which I have to say is not unreasonable. And I think that's what's going to be decided at this summit. I think this is what is going to be found. The EU countries are going to have to, dig deep and say, look, okay, we will back you up. I mean, all things being equal, it should be fine. It should be fine. But I understand that the hesitancy here, because Belgium could end up with a multi-billion euro loss as a result of doing this. You could argue, though, that if push came to shove, then they could just use the Russian assets. They could literally liquidate them and just steal them for the state, which is another thing that we could do. Giorgia Meloni of Italy, the far-right leader of Italy, wants a solid legal basis to this. So she's been warning that a weak legal basis could hand Russia a victory here, and also reported as expressing doubts or unconvinced, should we say, Malta, Bulgaria and the Czech Republic. Slovakia, as I mentioned before, the PM Robert Fico reported opposing use if the money funds weapons rather than reconstruction, which is like completely mad. Like they need weapons to defend themselves against the invaders from the northern wastelands of Asia. Like we need that. We need to stop these barbarians coming into Europe and raping our women and stealing our children. And isn't this the whole thing that on the right, women and children, like we got to protect them? Isn't that the whole thing? Like about, I don't know, white supremacy, the great replacement theory. Why are we allowing people from northern Asia to come over and murder our people, sickeningly torture them to death? Why are we allowing that, people on the right? Why are you supporting Nigel Farage, who walks lockstep with Vladimir Putin when it comes to his attitude towards the EU? Why are you supporting him if women and children are so important? Then again, I mean, you could ask those same motherfuckers why they think that they can go on a rally saying, oh yeah, we're going to protect our women and children, and then it turns out that 2 out of 5 of them are all fucking domestic abusers, many of whom have gone to jail for beating the living daylights out of a woman or multiple women, because they're just misogynistic, violent scum. But it's funny that, isn't it? They're not too arsed about the barbarians in northern Asia coming over to Europe and fucking things up for us. They don't care about that. But how dare someone come from, I don't know, the Indian subcontinent and actually help our NHS become doctors and nurses and keep us alive? How very dare they? You got people who have got brown skin who are keeping us alive, and they're the bad people. You've got these racist twats who live in these little squalid little fucking places like, I don't know, Clacton, Crapton, and they sit there going, fucking hell, and they would rather live next door to a convicted paedophile who's white than live next door to a brain surgeon, pediatric brain surgeon who saves children every day of their life, who's brown. Isn't that fucked up? And you know what? I honestly think if we could get the racists on board with all this, you could really push it. You could really, really push it. And that's why I make a bit of a thing about Russia not being part of Europe. But then again, these people hate Europe more than they hate their own grandchildren, as evidenced by the fact that so many of them voted for Brexit. Not all boomers voted for Brexit, but a fuckload did. Oh my God, so many of them did. Umka, thank you very much for the €5. Russia knows it loses in any international court immediately. That's why they made their case in a Moscow court. Well, exactly. Philly is a solid legal basis. Would that help? Says Ernie. Yes, I think that absolutely would. From the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And also Back to the Future Part 2. Fun fact. He plays part of Biff's little Biff, or what, Griff? Is it Griff? Young Griff plays part of young Griff's mob. So anyway, where were we? We were talking about some of the countries kicking up a fuss, and the other one is Austria, who has concerns about potential Russian retaliation affecting assets and interests. But can we be realistic here? Right, Russian retaliation. What does that mean? We know that they've got no nuclear weapons because they've all fucking disintegrated over the last 30 years because of not being maintained, right? So we know that's fucking, 50 years probably, actually even longer than that. But, they're not a threat in that respect. And then when it comes to financial, what are they going to do? What the fuck are they going to do? This is a country who has a GDP per capita of less than fucking Grenada. Okay, well, no, Grenada are going to launch sanctions against us. No, please don't. Gives a fuck. I don't have any money in fucking Russia. Do you have any money in Russia? No one with any fucking sense has got any fucking money in fucking Russia. The countries that are pushing for it mostly for this scheme, this taking the money, loaning using the frozen Russian assets as collateral scheme. Germany's Friedrich Merz has pushed to use the assets, framed as sending a clear signal to Moscow, which I think is necessary. In Poland, Donald Tusk is quoted to say it's either money today or blood tomorrow, which is, this is Europe-wide stakes here. It absolutely is. Finland says it gives Ukraine leverage in negotiations by avoiding desperation. Absolutely. And in Ireland, the Prime Minister, Michael Martin, backs using immobilised assets and framing it as Russia paying for the destruction that they have wrought. Meanwhile, Hungary, of course, is blocking it as much as they can. Viktor Orbán, which has no frozen Russian assets, because it's got no, any Russian assets that were there have gone into the back pocket of the corrupt, vile pit viper that is Viktor Orbán. I almost said Vladimir. Let's call him Vladimir Orbán. He says that the idea is stupid. All right, mate. And that it equates to marching into war. No, not doing it is marching into war. Not doing it is giving power and privilege and the ability to murder to the Russians, which is going to cause more murder. You don't stop a bully by letting them do whatever they want. You stop a bully by standing up to them. And let me make no mistake, the barbarians of the northern wastes of Asia are fucking bullies. And they have got, they've got mercenary soldiers who they've brought over from North Korea. They've brought soldiers over from places in Africa like Chad and also South Africa. There's a court case going on at the moment where they commission people to come from South Africa to fight against people in Ukraine. I just like, what? How is this even happening? Could you imagine if, Mexico invaded part of America and took a fifth of America? All of California will have that, and Utah will have Utah, we'll have Nevada, we'll have that, New Mexico, we'll all have that, we'll have Texas as well. Let's have all that bit. Yeah, let's have all that, right? So all that for Mexico. And then they start getting fighters from like Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire and Guinea to come over and fight and kill Americans. Could you imagine? That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing to us in Europe. Not from those countries necessarily, but it's the same idea. No, mercenaries from African countries coming to Europe to help the barbarians of the northern wastelands of Asia to come and kill us all, which is what they want to do: invade and fucking kill as many people as possible, torture and kill people. They like doing that: rape, torture, and murder, and kidnap children. I mean, one thing that I don't really get is like, this isn't a whataboutism, okay? This is not a whataboutism, because the kidnapping of Israelis by the Palestinian group Hamas was fucking disgusting, and you get no argument with me on that, especially as they took women and children as well. But in Russia, right now at the moment, are thousands of kidnapped Ukrainian children from places like Mariupol in the east of the country, from the Donbass region. And they are being brought up Russian. They're being kidnapped and they are being abused by Russian families, by Russian men who have got these small kids who can't defend themselves, don't know what the fuck is going on, and they are being systematically abused. And you can say, well, Graham, where's your evidence for this? I'll say, where's the evidence it's not happening? Here's the evidence it is happening, because it's always fucking happened. Whenever you have vile men kidnapping children, yeah, they're going to abuse those children. Why else would they kidnap children? Like, it's not for the children's own interests, is it? No, it's for their own disgusting, base, immoral desires that they have. And it seems interesting to me the way that the world media, which I think is very Russian leaning, we have a very Russophilic social media and mainstream media. I mean, they pay lip service to caring about Ukraine, but you saw the glee, the demented glee in the eyes of the fucking gobshites on the TV and people writing in these fucking newspaper rags when Donald Trump humiliated Vladimir Zelensky at the end of February this year. They fucking loved it. They fucking loved it because they've got this Russian bent to them. Because they're all bought by Russia. The Evening Standard was owned by the guy who's now the fucking Lord of Siberia, a lawmaker in our parliament for life, a guy whose dad is a fucking KGB agent. Are you fucking kidding me? Did that really happen? Yes, it fucking happened. And you're supporting these motherfuckers, the Tories and Refuck and all these right-wing twats who are just like, yay, Russia should be able to do what it's like. But why isn't the pictures of the children who have been kidnapped, like they had in Israel? Why aren't they all over the news? These children are kidnapped and they're being abused by the Russians. Can we have them back, please? Well, why has there been no concerted effort to get people really fucking upset about this? Why are there no Facebook posts? You don't see anything about it. And we're talking about not just a few dozen children here, like what happened in Israel. We're talking about a few thousand children who have been kidnapped. Maybe it's too many. Maybe it's just like there's so many children who have been kidnapped by the Russians. They don't want to. One death is a tragedy. A million is a statistic. I don't know. I'd like to know. But we do know that lots and lots of kids have been kidnapped from eastern Ukraine and taken into Russia and given to Russian men to look after. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. Anyway, Viktor Orbán has pledged to block any plan that uses the EU budget as collateral or involves additional EU money for Ukraine. I think that Hungary should be kicked out of the EU immediately, or at least frozen out, as in they are still a member, but they're not allowed to vote on anything. The alternative plan is Plan B, which is the EU borrowing on markets with the EU budget as a guarantee, has been floated as an alternative. But as I just said, Hungary has said it's going to veto this because this is something that would require unanimity. And they're not going to get that. They're just not, because fucking Hungary. So I'm saying Hungary should be kicked out. But also there's a chance that Slovakia and the Czech Republic won't go for it either. So, I mean, if you do want to kick out these countries, there is a mechanism for doing it. Belgium has also suggested, I mean, if they do kick out these countries, it's a good excuse to sort of reorganise the EU so you don't require unanimity in order to get anything through. I think that would be a good idea for these things, because for the last so many years, Hungary under Orbán has just been blocking everything that the EU wants to do, weakening the EU from the inside, much to the sexual satisfaction of, Vladimir Putin, the viper of the Kremlin. Belgium has also suggested using emergency powers to work around this request for unanimity. Other diplomats have described that route as legally and politically difficult. This is difficult. These are difficult negotiations that are going on. But the voting mechanics and the political reality here, the reparations loan reported as requiring a qualified majority, not unanimity. But isolating Belgium is described as politically unthinkable. So while they don't need Belgium's approval to go ahead with this, not having Belgium's approval when they hold the lion's share of these assets, that's not going to be great. And that could lead to a real breakup, a schism within the EU, which is very worrying. The European Council President, Antonio Costa, has said, we're not going to vote against Belgium, while other stating leaders won't leave without a decision. And so Russia's stated response, like anyone gives a shit, have said they've called the move theft, and it's warned of harsh retaliation. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, little doggy? You gonna bark some more, little doggy? Oh yeah, kick the dog, kick the fucking dog, kick the Russian dog. Don't poke the Russian bear. There is no Russian bear. It's made of fucking wet cardboard. It's just a fucking cardboard cutout. That's all it is. Just kick the Russian fucking dog. I like dogs, but this one, no, don't like this one. This is like a fucked up dog. You know, like at the end of, the dog in The Fly 2, once it goes through the transporter and it comes out all messed up. Yeah, a bit like that, And Widdicombe. Anyway, Russia, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, Russia has filed and announced legal action against Euroclear. But it's issued decrees and discussed mechanisms to seize Western assets in Russia more easily in retaliation. Yeah, go ahead. I don't fucking care anymore. Fuck them. Fuck them every way you can. And there's some Western exposure in Russia. The Western companies had about $127 billion in assets in Russia. Tough. Some you win, some you lose. I think that's about the amount of money people have lost on fucking Trump's cryptocurrencies over the last 10 months, so it gives a fuck. And reporting says that the Kremlin has already seized frozen assets of dozens of Western companies with large cumulative losses cited. So they've already done this. They've got nothing in the tank. If they could have seized this stuff, they would have done it already, because their economy is so dependent on scrabbling around for any cash that it possibly can to continue this with drone warfare in Ukraine. And there's the banks that have been mentioned that have got Russian exposure include Raiffeisen. I can't even pronounce that. It's an Austrian bank in Russia, which has outlets in Russia. And then UniCredit in Italy. It's easy to say. Profits and stranded capital have been referenced in the reporting, but and then there's the Trump factor. The US and Russian officials are reportedly meeting in Miami this week on a peace plan. Yeah, right. Which is apparently going to have Kirill Dmitriev, and who wrote the peace plan that got translated from Russian into English really badly by ChatGPT. Yeah, that's the guy who wrote that. His name is Kirill. And then we've got Steve Witkoff, fucking useless, and Jared Kushner, who's gormless motherfucker, who's the son-in-law nepo baby of Donald Trump. And he's completely gormless. Have you seen him? He has no gorms. He is completely bereft of gorms. He has not got a single scintilla. He has not got a gnat's pube of a gorm. He is completely gormless. And yeah, they're going to have this meeting, and Russia's going to agree to fucking anything. Fuck like the fuck they are. Russia's just paddling for fucking time. But meanwhile, Ukrainian officials are also reportedly traveling to the US. So good luck with getting in and having your phones checked. And then, we've got the European forcing security red lines. Kremlin position proposed a European-led multinational force in Ukraine, supported by the US. They've said that would be unacceptable. So give a shit. They're not going to accept anything. You're not going to get a deal out of them. So just, bide your time and get your money from their frozen assets and fuck them over. Spend them all on fucking drones. In fact, just go and bomb just get all the fucking planes, all the bombers, right? Get all the bombers from all the NATO countries in Europe and just go out one night. Maybe Christmas, with little Christmas presents. Here you go. Christmas Eve, go out like Santa Claus on your fucking sleigh. Except instead of dropping presents, drop bombs all the way up the front lines. All the way, 1,000 miles, front lines, fuck you all. See you later, gobshites. We could do that. Wake up on Christmas morning and everyone's dead. And Russia's like, what just happened? Oh, we're going to sue you. We're going to sue you in court. We're going to drop nuclear bombs on you all. No, you're not. No, you're not. Anyway, so yeah. And even if we went to court, we'll go, yeah, we'll pay that. And they just don't pay. That's what the Russians do. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll sign that. We'll sign that thing. Remember that thing the Russians signed in the 90s, the Budapest Memorandum? Do you remember that one? Where it said basically that if Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons, which it might have looked after, unlike Russia, then what would happen? What would happen? We would never invade Ukraine. We would respect its sovereignty. That includes the Donbass. That includes that includes the Crimean Peninsula. Yeah, will we respect the sovereignty? That's what they said. Not worth the paper it's written on with the Russians because you can't trust them. So what's the fucking point? Do what they do. We'll go to court. Yeah, just don't turn up. Push the court date back a couple of years. Do what Trump did. And then someone else takes over. Oh, well, sorry, that court case was with the last administration. Sorry, you're dealing with this administration now. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Nothing you can do. What a shame. Boo-hoo-hoo. Cry harder. Cons. Anyway, so the EU does fail to agree on this. The reporting has framed this failure would be a major hit to EU credibility and leverage in peace talks. And Merz was warning that the failure would damage the EU's ability to act for years, and it would send a disastrous signal to both Ukraine and to Russia. Implementation reality, even if leaders agree, even with political sign-off, the plan still needs to be turned into law and operationalized, there's a word for you, fast enough to meet the needs of Ukraine by spring. So you're talking March, April next year. So just 3-4 months away. Not far now, mate. Not far now. There's we need to see if what happens. There is live reporting going on the Guardian website at the moment. I'll just try and find the latest updates on this matter. So the latest update is, because they're meeting now, all eyes on Belgium's Wever as he faces pressure from all directions. We may not get a doorstep reaction from him this morning, though, as he appears keen to keep his cards close to his chest, apparently. A poll this week showed he was broadly supported by the Belgian public, with more than 60% backing his opposition to the EU's plan. So that's not great. And earlier this month, he created a bit of a stir by saying that it was a complete illusion to believe that Russia would lose the war. Yeah, if we acted against Russia, they would totally lose the war. They'll continue on. They'll plod on for the next 10 years, fighting this moving at a snail's pace. In fact, slower than a snail through Ukraine. And I'm sure they can continue to do that and continue to throw young men into the meat grinder because they've got an unquenchable supply of criminals, convicts, mercenaries that they can call on from lots of different places. But the reality is that if we got our act together, the UK, the EU, and just went at them 100% with everything we've got, they wouldn't stand a fucking chance. They wouldn't. It'll be over by Monday. It would. So there you go. A gorm is a gorm in heat. A Gornin Heath. I don't mind. It wasn't my kitchen table. Says Pygmalion. The L butterfly effect. Gormless comes from garmless, which means lacking attention. So presumably garm and therefore gorm is attention. Well, there you go. He has none. He has none. Jared Kushner, he has none. New game of Super Chance. Play poker with tarot cards using a Ouija board for a table. That sounds good. That sounds good. And what if you get the death card, you die? It's a brutal game. Russian roulette, but with cards. Plum, it has to be said daily. You lot are total legends. Never change. Love to you all. Ah, thanks very much, Plum. That's so nice of you. Thank you. I don't think tarot cards make a good game of poker. Poker face. Poker face. And then just been depressed. Reading Guardian online. Come here to cheer up. Come here to be cheered up. Okay, Mr. Tisk, let's cheer you up with some good news. We're rejoining Erasmus. Yay! Although we reported that yesterday. But yeah, that is quite cool. As for the goal to get 10 super chats in, we've got 7 remaining that we need, and we've got 20 minutes. So no mad rush on this. Not with that attitude, Diz, says Gallifrey Man. Referring to there, but yes, indeed. So we're going to go over to the Mirror first, which has got Judi Dench. Oh no, it's got an advert to see it all. Last Dance Saloon, 3 Strictly finalists, 1 Big Dream. Hurrah! There's a TV show on the TV that you can watch on TV. Never really understand newspapers reporting on like what is on the TV. Like the newspapers, there they go. I suppose the TV reports what's in the newspapers, so whatever. But it just like, why is that front page news? Why isn't it like in the telly pages? Like, who gives a fuck if you don't watch Strictly? Like, COVID heroes join flu fight. Experts in search to find treatment for severe strain. We've got the Times here. Anti-misogyny courses aim to stop 11-year-olds becoming killers. This is a big news story on the BBC page this morning, and also on The Guardian, about new classes that are going to be brought in for children as young as 11 who are going to be in an attempt to help stamp out violence against women and girls, help stop the adolescence pipeline, if you've seen the show Adolescence, of vile, toxic misogyny that is touted by the likes of Nick Fuertes, who is never been with a woman, and chinless twat-faced gobshite Andrew Taint. A taint is the taint is another term for the Bosphorus or the Humber Bridge. You know, if you know what I mean. It is the part between the genitals and the arsehole. That is a taint. And yeah, that's why I call him Andrew Taint. Martin Harrow, thank you very much, Martin Harrow, for the £2 super chat. For veg pie. Oh, thank you. For veg pie and for vegan sausage rolls. Police vow to stamp out chants for intifada. Alert over slogan linked to anti-Semitic violence. This idea that you put up signs saying let's have a global intifada is arguably encouraging knobheads to do horrific things. So yeah, I can see why you would want to sort of stamp that out. And there's 6 Palestinian Action activists being held in custody at the moment who are 46 days into a hunger strike, which is going to fucking kill them. And it's really grim. It's a really grim situation. I don't know how their deaths would help the Palestinian people. I think that not being on hunger strike and not being in jail and actually raising funds in your community to give to the humanitarian effort in the ongoing humanitarian efforts in Gaza would be a better use of their time and life. But they seem dead set on it. But I've got to say, and I said this a couple of weeks ago when the footage came out, there is footage of a member of Palestinian Action hitting, trigger warning here, hitting a male member of Palestine Action, attacking a female police officer with a sledgehammer and hitting her twice. That footage exists. That did happen. And that policewoman can no longer dress on her own. She can no longer bathe on her own because of the injuries she sustained. And it was August last year, it was August 2024, that this happened. And I'm sorry, but that organisation get all the way to fuck, as far as I'm concerned. Why anyone would willingly go to jail to say, yep, this organization, it's a good one. Yeah, you've kind of tainted yourself there. You've gone to bat for Jimmy Savile without actually knowing what crimes he's committed. No, I love Jimmy Savile. He was fucking great. And then all these crimes come out and you're like, oh shit, maybe we should take that statue down. So yeah, no love there from me. And I really think the people who are, doing this hunger strike at the moment, I hope they get the help and support that they need. Maybe show them the footage of one of theirs doing that to that police officer. Maybe that'll change their mind on, why they're doing this. But then again, I mean, if you've gone that far down the rabbit hole the government declared that Palestine Action was an extremist group last summer, and I didn't understand why. I didn't know why the MPs were keeping it close to their chest. Why it would be given as a terrorist group, but I think that now that we know at least that's one of the reasons, then it's time to get down off your fucking high horse and think of other ways of supporting the people of Gaza, because this ain't it, bro. This ain't it. Anyway, before we go on, we got loads of super chats coming. We nearly got to confetti. I'll have to do this really quick in case a 10th super chat comes in. So here we go. We've got Martin Harrow. We had that £2 super chat. Thank you. Viper Scott, a £1 super chat. We've got David Coombs, £2 super chat. Brexiteers losing it over rejoining Erasmus, which is hilarious. We've got Viper Scott saying, good luck, chat. And we've also got Viper Scott buying a bunch of gift memberships, which I'll come to in a moment. We've also got Viper Scott saying, get the confetti for Diz. And we've also got Viper Scott saying, Merry Christmas to one of the greatest communities here. Oh, thank you so much, Viper Scott. And then we've got Saz with the 10th super chat. You triggered the wonderful confetti. Thank you very much to Saz. And also Yuri in Infected Of. Thank you very much for the £2 super chat saying confetti. So we're going to do it. We're going to release the confetti. It is getting released now. Here we go. Woo! Confetti! Play that music. Play that music. Play that funky music, white boy. Go on. Play that funky music loud. Anyway, Miz, who are you calling us humans? We're all AI in here. I fucking hope not. Oh, do you know what? Yesterday, thank you very much to Sarah for the £2 super chat. Here's for Diz. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Merry Christmas to you. Thanks to everyone who's chipped in there for the confetti. We did it. Yeah, this is something that I just, before we go back to the papers, right? I want you to have a read of this with me, okay? Because this is kind of unbelievable. This was about the hearing yesterday in court for Nick Reiner, who is accused of the horrific murders of his mum and dad, Michelle and Rob. So I'm going to bring this over so you can look at it, right? And I'll just make it a little bit bigger here, right? This is very disturbing because this is from the BBC, and don't worry about what the news story is here, but look at the way this is written, okay? During the short court hearing, Nick Reiner only said yes, Your Honour, when asked by Judge Teresa McGonigal if he understood he has the right to the speedy trial. Now look at this bit. His arms looked bare. His face looked blank. Now for anyone who has put anything through ChatGPT in the last year or so, you'll look at that and you'll be like, that's AI. No human would write that. His arms looked bare. His face looked blank. Because one of the things that AI loves to do is shit like this, right? Where it just makes a statement on one line but then underneath it says the next line. So his arms looked bare, his face looked blank. We could not see him through the brief hearing. We could not see him. So this is a classic AI thing because AI's got no sense of context or continuity. So it constantly makes statements like this. His face looked blank. The next sentence, we could not see him. Okay, are you with me on this? I read this on my phone and took a screen cap, and I'm showing it to you now because I was just like, what the fuck? He was in a corner out of sight, spelt as in a building site, not as in sight of seeing from the media, and we only glimpsed him at the very end after the hearing ended when we approached the front of the court. That makes no sense. This whole bit here makes no sense unless it was written by AI. And it still makes no sense, but this is really disturbing that the BBC, I think this is clear as fucking day. Reagan Morris should not be getting paid for this fucking statement because this is so written by AI. And, I think it would take 5 seconds in the court of law to prove that this was written by AI. And I expect better from the BBC. I know there's a lot of people who like to diss the BBC, and Donald Trump is trying to fucking sue it for $100 billion fucking trillion dollars or whatever. But this is, and also look at the last sentence here. He was wearing what appeared to be a suicide prevention vest, sometimes used to restrain people in custody in LA. Again, that is an AI written sentence. I will stake my reputation, what little reputation I have, on it, because you wouldn't write that. I wouldn't write that. I would write a suicide prevention vest, comma, something which is sometimes used to restrain people in custody. It makes it sound like this particular vest, there's only one of them, and it's sometimes used. It's a very, very badly written sentence, but it will make sense if that sentence was written on using AI. So who's with me on this? We've got Diz saying definitely AI. Chris C saying that is written by AI. And the way I know is the last paragraph. Yep, absolutely. I suppose the bright side is calling a novelist as safe from the march of automation. If this is what machines can do better, Skynet. Yeah, AI is really shit at writing stuff. It is just really shit. I mean, it can do blurb for these shows. And that's AI. I should actually put, this has been written by AI, because it fucking has. But that's because I've got to get prepped in the morning. I've got to read all this shit. I've got to make notes. I've got loads of stuff to do. I can't be arsed. No offense, but I can't be arsed spending half an hour writing the blurb, which would take me half an hour because I get really anal about it and deciding, what word can I use here? Oh no, I've already used that word. I need to use a synonym for that. So, you have a reputation, Graham. Exactly. Well, okay. I'll stake my hat on it then. My hat. It's worth more than my reputation. I don't know. It's spelled sight wrong. That just, his legs looked long, says Yuri. Yeah, dead giveaway. His arms looked bare, but we couldn't see him. Unaliving vests are not used to restrain prisoners. They are used to prevent prisoners harming themselves. Yeah, that's another good point, Christy. It's clearly written by AI, and I will be making a complaint to the BBC about it because I do not want AI slop appearing on the fucking BBC. It's not what I pay my license fee for. Thank you very much. It's Trump AI. I mean, the colour is off. Should be a glitch. If not, still love the results of a pick. If you asked AI, please do a picture of an orange man. Yeah, indeed. When real art and creative works and music will always prevail, the real people not. Yeah, Pete, I think that AI, and you might think I'm naive in saying this, but I think that AI is just going to make people like myself and people who like Mike Dix, who can actually create stuff. And it's not necessarily the donkey work. That we've had tweening for a long time. What is tweening, Graham? Well, it's when you get keyframes. So a keyframe in an animation is like, okay, here's there's the phone here, and then you want the phone to be there. And then what you do is you have the keyframes will automatically be put in, so you get that fluid motion from there to there, and you don't have to do a single frame for every single part of that moving from one side to the other. That's been an ability on After Effects for 20 years now. It's nothing new. The donkey work, the grunt work can be done by AI, but the creativity cannot. AI can't create anything because it's a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. And every time you copy that shit, it degrades. And now it was eating human data. Now it's eating AI slop. It's eating slop. It's creating an AI human fucking centipede, an AI centipede. That's what we've got at the moment. And this is why whenever I'm doing the notes for the show or doing the blurb for the show, I have to put in, no repetition, do not use any sources other than what I'm giving you now. So I'll, use the news sources, the 3 or 4 articles that I want to draw the information from. And I had to specifically say, do not make anything up. Do not draw from other news sources. Only give me what I'm giving you. Okay, so I want you to take this article and give it back to me in bullet points. Thank you. Don't. And every time I literally have it on my clipboard, so I can just clip that and throw it in there every time. Don't make anything up. Don't take random fucking sources from elsewhere. Because AI, it forgets. Like, it'll do something one day and then you try and do exactly the same thing the next day and it fucks it up. Because it's like photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. It's not that great. It's okay. It can do some things, really well, but it does some things really, really badly. And writing prose, it's fucking shite. It is absolutely shite at it. I tried to get it to help me with writing my scripts when I used to do the moments of truth each day. And it was fucking awful. It was just shite at it. And like, I'd end up rewriting everything. Like, every single sentence needed rewriting because it sounded AI. It's got anything produced by AI, like visually produced, has an AI look to it. Where people are just a little bit too shiny, a bit too well lit, it just doesn't look real. And people keep showing me stuff that doesn't look real. And they show it to me and I'm like, that's not real. That's not real. If that is a real woman, she's been photoshopped to fuck. And they're like, no, but Graham, it looks real. I'm like, it might look real to you, but it does not look real to me. I'm telling you now, that's AI. Because it's got a certain look about it, and when it comes to stuff that AI writes, it's got a certain cadence to it that is purely AI, because it cannot reproduce human creativity. It just can't. Because it's got one arm tied behind its back, and that is that it's got no sense of context. Everything in your life is contextual. Anything that someone says to you is contextual. AI doesn't understand that. AI doesn't understand that if your busy mate calls you a right old cunt, you laugh because it's your best mate. But if some nutter on the street with a swastika tattoo on their fucking forehead calls you it, you're in trouble because of context. Same line, same words, exact same words. But it's all about context. It's all about context. And you've got these machines that cannot comprehend context. That's how we beat the Terminators, by the way. Let's confuse the motherfuckers. And no sense of continuity either. And each of these reproductions, each of these attempts, these imitations of life creates a slightly worse version, which then gets used as basis to copy for the next AI generation. I used AI to compose messages to customers who ask really daft things. I need to keep my sarcasm in check. Yeah, I use a Nikon FM camera, mainly black and white, blows digital into the weeds. It's it's a whole different world. Every shot counts, no editing, real art, no, not digital crap, says Pete. Yeah. The thing is, I mean, if you're using a film camera, then it is cool and romantic and awesome and exciting, especially if you process the film yourself, if you've got a dark room and you can do that. But it is a lot more expensive. And if you're doing it as a professional thing, unless that's your unique selling point is that you shoot on film, the applications you can get with digital are just staggering. The likes of Putin, Fart, Frog, and Voldemort. I'm sure Skynet had the wrong idea. I'm not sure Skynet had the wrong idea, says Gallifreyan Man. Yeah. We're not going to make it, are we? Humans, I mean. It is in your nature to destroy yourselves. I do a James Bond role play with that AI. I play Tracy Bond. I get the AI pic of James, but not one of me. I will say when it generates a picture of us together, damn, I'm hot. Brilliant. And yeah, AI's got its uses. I only use AI to decipher my mother's text messages, says Yori. That's something I've always been good at. deciphering text messages, you know, where people put the wrong words and really bad grammar and spell things wrong. I miss my calling as a teacher, you know, seeing kids work and trying to decipher what the fuck they were trying to say. Anyway, so Abramovich clings on to 2.5 billion for Ukraine. So this is the story. Oh, we got the confetti again. We got the confetti. Let's get rid of that. Sorry about that. This is about Roman Abramovich, who was the owner of Chelsea Football Club, who was forced to sell it when Trump's mate Putin invaded Ukraine. He promised that he would hand over this 2.5 billion from the sale to help Ukraine. And here we are, nearly in 2026, and he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it. But there you go. So I mean, what are you gonna do? He hasn't fucking done it. He hasn't done it. I have a Canon DSLR, digital single lens reflex. Got me on your quiz team, don't you? Which for my product photos. Which are you calling me a witch, Chrissy, or did you get cut off while trying to change? Did you press delete and then accidentally pressed enter? I do that all the time. Human versus AI work will be likely battery framed versus battery farmed versus free range products in the future. In my honest opinion, yeah, possibly. So is Abramovich Abramovich a Klingon? I think so, maybe. I don't know. He said he'll hand over this money. He has handed over this money. It was brought up in Prime Minister's questions yesterday, and Keir Starmer said he's putting him on notice. He's putting him on notice that he's going to get this fucking money. 2.5 billion. That'll do quite well for Ukraine. Thank you very much. There will presumably be jobs overseeing the AI to make sure the damn thing doesn't go off reservation, says Andy. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. Premature confetti, Graham. You can get medication for that, says Simon. Didn't you just think of Anne Widdecombe? Is that not... Is that what everyone does? Pete says, Yuri, I have a small digital Fuji camera with manual focus and app. Great as a wee tool as well as for emerald stuff. Ooh, what's emerald stuff? Sounds kinky. Yuri Infectanov says, I use my Pentax SF7 and Fujifilm T2 for portrait work and my Leica for street photography. Ooh. Is that's an analog? The Leica, is that an analog one that you've got there? Please let me know in the chat. Let's talk about cameras. Let's talk about cameras. My camera. I'm gonna get my old camera. Should I get my old camera? Oh, here she is. Look at this. Oh, it's my old Z1. Look at this beast. Look at this absolute bastard of a camera. So this was the camera that I used when I was filming music videos, and it's a bit dusty now. And shit, back in the day, it's 20 years old now. This beast, but it takes digital tape, DV tape, recorded on HDV, which is kind of like half DV. So it's 1080 lines or 1080 pixels on your horizontal, but it's only 1440 across instead of 1920, and it just deforms the pixels. They're not square pixels; they're 1 to 1.33333 pixel size. But yeah, loads of buttons to press. I used to know what all these fucking things did. All this filters and setup, and we had a really nice little manual zoom there, which isn't working because obviously it's got no battery in it. You had the XLR mics in there. Oh, great days. And it came with a mic on top, which Sony made cameras that didn't come with a mic on them. Was it the PD150? Didn't come with a fucking mic. You had to put. This one came with an inbuilt mic, so you didn't have to use the shotgun one if you didn't want it. Anyway, yeah. Oh, great days. Nowadays, what's really kind of mad is this little tiny phone here. This little tiny phone is it's got better quality picture, better quality sound. That's 4K. That's not 4K. that's not even HD.
Graham on a tangent, but it's like, well, you started talking about bloody canvas you're infected of in your Pantax bloody FS7. Showing off me camera. Them are the days. Manual zoom is a new Marvel character, says isn't it Manuel Zoom from Spain? And Chris, yes, eBay are crap at that. I agree. It winds me up on eBay how many sellers are getting away with using AI generated product photos, and eBay lets them get away with it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Nightmare Fuel. What's Nightmare Fuel? Deformed pixels get picked. What? Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Deformed pixels. Well, no, they're just not square. I shouldn't call them deformed. It just stretches the pixels. So they're rectangular. You know, old PAL and NTSC weren't square, right? They weren't square pixels, and they were different ratios. So PAL was one particular ratio, and NTSC was another particular ratio. I think that PAL was a bit more sideways long, and then the horizontally long, and the pixels for NTSC was slightly taller. It was more, vertical length of the actual pixels. It's why, and also NTSC was a much lower quality than PAL. It's one of the reasons why whenever, like the 80s, whenever you get like a news report from America, it always looked like fucking garbage. It always looked like it was on VHS. Yeah, that's because it just did not look as good. It just does not good. Surely Manuel Zoom is Speedy Gonzalez alter ego. I like that. Manuel Zoom. Maybe it's his cousin. Speedy Gonzalez's cousin is Manuel Zoom. I love that. Wasn't PAL 4:3 ratio. Yeah, the whole picture was this is almost 4:3. The bit of me here, but obviously the whole screen is 16:9. But yeah, both PAL and NTSC were 4:3 for the whole picture, but the individual pixels were a different shape. I mean, the NTSC is just mad. Like with PAL, it ran at a frame rate of 25 frames a second, which went with our electricity, which was on 50 hertz, so you don't get flickering. But NTSC runs at 29.97 frames a second. So not only were pixels a different shape, not only were there fewer lines, there was only 480 instead of 576. You also had the problem of like the actual timing of the shows, like if you were showing an American show. And so this is one of the reasons why a lot of American shows were actually shot on film. So stuff like Friends and that was actually shot on film. It wasn't shot on digital because NTSC was just too shit, and it just wouldn't look good when it was transported to other markets. And good job that they did shoot it on film, because you can go back and reprocess the images to a much higher quality. You can take them up to 4K if you want now. NTSC was the cheaper version for Americans. Well, it was based on the fact that their electricity grid ran on 60 megahertz rather than 50 megahertz as a frequency for their AC. So the lights will flicker. If they were running it at 25 frames a second, you'd get flickering lights. This is why if you got a camcorder or something, you go to America or anywhere with NTSC, anywhere with 60 megahertz, 60 hertz. Sorry, I don't even think it's megahertz. 60 hertz. You'll get that flickering color. All the cargo ships I went on were all running on 60 hertz for the electricity. So yeah, that meant I had to switch it from PAL to NTSC when I was filming on ships, or change the frame rate to 60. Was it 60? No. Yeah, you could change the frame rate. But what you could do if you were feeling fruity is that you could simply change the frame rate to something that both 25 and 30 go into, which I think is 150. So I think you could just change it to 150 and you were golden. Just put the frame rate on 150 and it works on NTSC, and it works in PAL. However, you do need a lot of light. You do need a lot of light to do that. Anyway, they used to run it at 24 frames per second. That was for film. Film was always 24 frames per second. Animation, 12 frames a second. You should try making games in both formats. Graham, bloody nightmare. Thankful HD quickly took over in the early 2000s, says Martin Harrow. Yeah, games, that was another thing. You had to make a NTSC version and a PAL version for everything, didn't you? God, what a nightmare. And everything would look different, obviously. You had a game that was made for PAL and you played it on NTSC, yeah. NTSC, we called that Never Twice the Same Colour when I used it at the BBC. Yeah, because the colour was shit as well. Honestly, it was just such... PAL wasn't amazing, but it was so much better than NTSC. Just really interesting, though, going back to like the 1940s, when John Logie Baird and that were trying to come up with the standards for the BBC and everything, for broadcast standards, he wanted to bring in high definition. He wanted to bring in, I think it was 1,000 lines he wanted, which isn't far off 1080, which is what high definition is now. That's what he wanted. Didn't get it, but yeah, it was a trade-off. Power transformers wouldn't work well at 50 megahertz. Yeah, I think it's 50 hertz, isn't it? That Moses was a liar. Didn't part the sea. It was my legs. He was always exaggerating. Okay, L. Indeed. Barbara Wintergreen, CBN News parodied the grainy US-style footage from the day-to-day. Yeah, Colin, the day-to-day were brilliant at doing fake American news with the really fuzzy colours and the bleeding between the different... if you had like a line, with a slug line with the whatever the news was or the name of the reporter, the colours would just bleed into each other really badly. France had CCAM too. Sequential colour was that colour, and I don't know. It just meant that if you had a French porno, it was only play in black and white on your British VHS player. But at least it was a bit more interchangeable. But the French, I think, did the French come up with the SCART lead? Who came up with the SCART lead? They should be, whoever came up with the SCART lead should be put on trial. Fucking hated SCART leads. The most horrific thing to try and plug into the back of a TV or the back of a video player ever. Just give me some RCA cables. At least they fucking go in anyway. Logie wasn't doing that with his mechanical system. No, I think he'd given up on the mechanical system by then. The Americans claim to have invented an awful lot of things when they nicked the ideas. Yeah, CCAM in France, border region, Alsace, where you lived, you bought a special TV to get German and Swiss TV too. Woo! Was it Japan who invented the SCART lead? Oh, fuck, why are you order? I've never hated the lead so much as a SCART lead. Christ, we're getting off topic this morning. Should we get back onto the news? Cameras, leads. Anyway, the Daily Mail here. Confessions of a cheating husband at Christmas. What the fuck? I mean, seriously, is this a newspaper, is it? So you read that and you go, oh God, I hope my husband's not having an affair, and you ruin people's Christmas. Here's the Grinch. The Grinch that is the Daily Mail, to ruin everyone's Christmas and make everyone paranoid that their partner's having an affair. And then there's a picture of the Nepo baby of Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin. Two Nepo babies themselves who both went to private school. Because, you don't get to be a world-famous actress or front a band in this country anymore unless you're incredibly posh. 6 billion cost to Starmer's new bid to suck up to Brussels. Suck up to Brussels. This is to do with rejoining the Erasmus scheme. So it's going to cost us 6 billion to rejoin the Erasmus. No, it's not. It's a reciprocal agreement. People are going to come here from Europe and they're going to spend money, and it's going to be great. And Yuri says French porn only played in black and white as it was far too chic for colour. Yeah, it was far too classy. It was just too classy for colour. Oh God, SCART, says Veg Pie. I know. Are you having nightmares about them, Veg Pie? Because I am. Just it's like bulky. And it only went in one way, and it was just oh my God. And then you'd buy a set and it wouldn't have all the 22 pins in, or however many pins it had in it. It would only have a few, and there'd be the input pins, the output pins. It was just shite. No, it was invented by the French. I thought it was the French, says Chris C, about the SCART cable. There you go. The Syndicat, the constructeurs, the apparels, radiorecepteurs at televiseurs in the mid-70s, leading to its name, SCART. There you go. Thank you very much, Sarah, for that. I thought it was the French. Didn't think it was the Japanese. They've done something much more cooler. Same with DVI cables for computers. Much prefer the display ports. Yeah. Well, any kind of omnidirectional cable. I mean, obviously traditional USBs are the worst for this because it's just a rectangle and you don't know which way up it goes. But even when they just have a little nick in one side, it's like it's not obvious which way up it is. That's why I quite like HDMI cables, because you look at it and you go, okay, that's the top, because you can see because the top is wider than the bottom. You can't put it upside down, and you wouldn't put it upside down because the top is bigger than the bottom and you can see it from a mile off. But yeah, I don't know. Whoever decided to invent that probably was the same person who invented the PCI ports at the back of the PCs, who will put a pastel color of fucking blue and pink on the back for like, you know, which one was for the mouse and which one was for the keyboard. Yeah, good luck sussing that out while you're around the back of a desk, you know, cramped up in the corner with the cobwebs, trying to see, is that the pink one? Is that the pastel pink one, or is that the pastel fucking blue one? Jesus Christ, who came up with that? USB-C, it's omnidirectional. It's a pretty good connection. Yes, USB-C is what we use now. Viva la Wi-Fi, says Andrew. Viva la Wi-Fi. And I do love that the French call Wi-Fi Wi-Fi. It's one of my favourite French words, along with pamplemousse and oiseau, meaning bird. Come on. Who doesn't love that word? Oiseau. Come on, that's got to be the most Frenchest thing ever. You think French bread is French? It's not French. Not compared with the word oiseau. Oiseau. Oh, love it. You mean you like the sound of a word in your mouth? Great stuff, friends. Great stuff. But, you know, Scott Leeds, fuck you guys. Anyway, here we throw. We've got this really, really, really low-res image here of German Dart fans plan to take over Ali Pali. I don't care. And then we've got stand up to unions, ban doctors' strikes. No, don't ban doctors' strikes. Do a deal with them. You know, we can't not. If you don't allow the doctors to have a strike, the whoever's in charge, which might be Farage in a few years' time, will absolutely take the piss and they won't be able to do anything about it. No, I do not agree with taking away the doctor's right to strike. It's tough enough to strike anyway these days. Thanks to Thatcher and successive Tory governments. And then more pictures of the Nepo baby, but the Nepo baby. Nepo woman, I guess, now. Gwyneth Paltrow, she's not really a baby anymore, is she? So there's Gwyneth Paltrow's Nepo baby there, who's honestly, mate, she's so talented. She's so talented in whatever she does. She's actually submitting everything that she does anonymously. People don't even know it's her, you know, and she's using free software in order to achieve the dreams, the hopes and dreams, because she's just so talented. Yeah, she's not doing that. She's living off her name. Anyway, next up, we've got the Daily Telegraph. Oh, my God. Here we go. The 8 billion. So let's get this straight. The Daily Mail has given us 6 billion here, right? And then we'll go down and then we'll see the Daily Telegraph here. It says it's 8 billion cost of going back into Erasmus. It's almost as though they're pulling these figures out of their arse. It's almost as though they're making them up. Because surely there should be some kind of agreement amongst the gutter press of what the figure is. But no, 2 billion, that is 2,000 million difference between them. Cool, well, let's take the Daily Mail one then, because that's cheaper. That's not going to cost us so much. And then there's a disgusting picture of the disgusting Toff, the Duke of Marlborough, who's in court for strangulation offences. Strangulation offence, 3 of them, where he strangled someone, which may have been his wife, he's now estranged from. This guy was the 1,299th addition to my private school mafia list, which I updated yesterday. 1,299 names on that list. And do you know what? I think I might make Apple Martin, the daughter of Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow. I mean, she's definitely gone to private school, hasn't she? I think I'll add her to the list and she can be my 1,300th person on that list. Because again, can we just point out that this woman here on the Daily Fail went to private school. And then this woman here went to private school, same woman. This woman here went to private school. This cunt here, this strangulation fucking dickhead, went to private school. And his wife went to private school as well. Funny that. And they get to be on the front cover of newspapers. So, that's well, when that disgusting Sarah Putin woman, the MP Runcorn and Helsby decrees there's too many black faces on the TV. Well, I want to say no. I think there's just the right amount. I'd like to have more, but I want to see fewer posh faces, like Sarah Putin's, also privately educated. It's almost as though they're part of a gang. Anyway, so BBC in new row over popular and unarmed intifada. I don't know what that means. Council tax in South could soar to boost poorer areas. Good. They're talking about putting up council tax in like Knightsbridge and Chelsea and fucking all the rich places. So it's all good. Oh, Viper Scott says, chat, please stay safe and well. Have a good night, morning, evening, wherever you are. Oh, see you later, Alistair. Thank you for being there for everyone. Putin the hater. Yeah, Putin. Oh, God, it's hard to keep up here with these right-wing fucking lunatics. But she said there were too many black people on TV. And there's too many posh people. I'm sick of seeing all their stupid posh faces. And then give 2.5 billion to Ukraine. PM tells Abramovich, which is a story at the bottom of the Telegraph here. Streeting won't rule out mandatory masks. Dart championships hit by wasp menace. and UK-backed oil tankers risk wrath of Trump. Okay, whatever. UK peacekeepers getting ready to deploy to Ukraine. British military has begun advanced preparations and the peacekeeping force to Ukraine. The I paper has learned as hopes rise for a deal. I don't really have much of I really don't. Gavin Rossdale at 60. Story over here from Bush, who I saw actually in 1995 at the Crazy House. It was really funny at the time because like Bush was huge in America. He ended up going out with Gwen Stefani, didn't he? He's turned into a big right wing slug. But they were playing like little tiny venues like the Cray in Liverpool, and which was weird, right? Because they were huge in America. But who I saw who was supporting them in 1995? Actually, I might have to look this up. It was Placebo. Before they were big, before anyone had heard of them. I'm just gonna put Bush. I might be wrong. It might have been another band that I saw that had them. Crazy House, Liverpool gig, 1995. No, it was November the 22nd, 1995. Placebo and Bush at the Crazy House. Fucking hell. We're talking about a venue about the size of this fucking room. And they were playing that, and then literally the next week they were playing like stadiums in America because they were huge over there. Anyway, that's Gavin Rossdale, who's probably posh. He should probably be on my private school list. I don't know. Russia targeting European finance bosses and politicians over assets. Belgian politicians and senior finance executives have been subject to a campaign of intimidation orchestrated by the Kremlin intelligence aimed at persuading the country to block the use of 185 billion euros of frozen Russian assets for Ukraine. Trump trade deals built on sand, say senior MPs. I mean, this is a... Sometimes I wake up in the morning and go, right, what are we going to talk about today? And I'll sometimes there's like no story that I'm particularly interested in talking about, and it can be quite difficult. But sometimes there's more than one, and today there was more than one. And one of the other things I wanted to talk about is how Trump's deals are built on sand. It's something I might talk about tomorrow. But ministers and senior MPs said yesterday that the UK's agreements with Donald Trump were built on sand, as The Guardian established that the deal to avoid drug tariffs had no underlying text beyond limited headline terms. So these milestone deals on pharmacy, on tariff relief, and all this kind of stuff that's been, this comes hot off the heels of the billions of investment in our tech sector that America was supposed to be providing being put on ice. We can't trust them. We cannot trust the Americans because they do not keep to their word. Can we make this really clear? They are fucking scorpions, and if we get on their backs halfway across the river, they will sting us. And then when we say, why did you sting us? They will say, because it's our nature. That's what they are. They are fucking vipers. We cannot trust them. 5-day strike for doctors, resident doctors, or young doctors, I guess. People, they don't like to be called junior doctors, do they? They're now resident doctors. Meta sued over suicide of sextortion victim 16. This is another dreadful story about a young lad who was pressured into, tricked into sending nudes of himself over Instagram, messaging, by a gang who were posing as a young woman who he thought liked him, and this is and then they start extorting, and then they start saying, you've got to pay us £1,000, got to put it into this cryptocurrency. It's always fucking cryptocurrency, isn't it? Cryptocurrency account, or else we will post these pictures of you naked to your parents and everyone in your friendship group on Instagram, because you can see who you're connected to. Yeah. Huge issue that we are having across the board here in the UK and other places around the world. It's one of the reasons why I wasn't too fussed about them banning social media for children in Australia, although that ban needs to go further. But it does mean that there will be a little less exposure to this kind of shite. But this poor lad, he ended up taking his own life as a result of being extorted by a criminal gang using the tools given to them by Mark Zuckerberg, one of the richest people in the world. And I hope they sue. They are suing. I hope they win. And I hope they win fucking billions off these motherfuckers. And I hope there is a tidal wave of claims against these people who provide these tools with no protection for our children and just allow it to be like the wild fucking West. Don't forget, like, anyone can write to someone on WhatsApp. If you got a kid's phone number, you can write to them. There's no block. How does that even work? If you've got WhatsApp, the only people who should be allowed to contact you via WhatsApp are people who are in your in your book, in your phone book. But there's no way of setting that up that I've found. If there is a way, can you let me know? Because I've not seen it. It should be like, do not allow anyone to contact me unless I've got their number in my phone. It's a simple way of protecting yourself. So if someone wants to get in touch with you, you say, okay, give me your number, put it in my phone. Now you can contact me. But up to that point now, they can't. The creeps who did this to children are vile and disgusting creatures. They also threaten to report the victims to the police because it's illegal for the victims to take indecent images of themselves. Yeah. Oh, wow. Martin Harrow. Jesus, Graham. I was at that Crazy House gig. No fucking way. Oh, he's saying, lol, it's bigger than you. I know. But it's not that big. Come on. It's not that big. It's a tiny little stage. So you were there. Oh, that is so cool. Were you at Korn with the Korn gig? I think that was the year after, wasn't it? When they played the Crazy. Who else? Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine. They played in 95, I think. Went to a few gigs at the Crazy back in the day. But yeah, I love the fact that Martin was there. That's such a small world, isn't it? We didn't know. We never heard of Placebo. And me and my mate, I remember we were sitting on there were that few people there for the support. I remember sitting on the floor of the Crazy House having a beer, right? So we had gone to get the red stripe. So at the Crazy House, it was 2 for 1 for red stripe. So it was like £1.80 and you got 2 cans or something fucking crazy. And we were sitting there drinking our red stripe, and we were trying to work out whether Brian Moloko was a boy or a girl. We didn't know. We're like, is because he was, he's famously quite gender fluid. But is that a woman? Is that a guy? Is that a woman? Is that great days? I call him Zuckerperv. Says Bolton. Very good. I like that. Perhaps the rise of AI gives them a way out. They can just claim it's an AI pick. Yeah. I saw Carter too. Oh, fantastic, Martin. Oh, that is so cool. So Martin and I were both at Bush and Carter. That was a great Carter gig. That was really, really good. It was really good natured. It was a really good laugh. But yeah, I've still got me tickets. From those gigs, Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Putin has come up with a bold, cunning plan to stop the subsea baby drones from blowing up his ships. He sunk barges across the entrance to the port. So how can they get out? Oh, okay. Is that why they fixed them? In port? So we're going to go over to the grown-up newspaper, the only grown-up newspaper, which is the Financial Times, and we're going to go through the news stories here now. Warner Brothers board scorns illusionary bid to buy Paramount. Investors urged to reject 108 billion dollar offer. Deal is inferior to the 83 billion offered by Netflix. This is a really shit story. I don't want anyone to buy Warner Brothers. Can Warner Brothers just be Warner Brothers? Can't you just let them be Warner Brothers? Someone pointed out that the way to sort this out is that Paramount and Netflix get one brother each. Bearing the brunt, one-way ticket home for Chinese pandas caught in Beijing Tokyo rift. Giant panda Chow Chow above has been a resident of Tokyo's zoo. I can't read, it's too small to read. Along with the twin sister Leilai, since they were born in 2021. But in January, they will return to China. The pandas will not be replaced for the first time in more than half a century, because this is a rift between Beijing and Tokyo. Starmer clears transfer to Ukraine of 2.5 billion from Abramovich's Chelsea sale. Keir Starmer has issued a license to transfer 2.5 billion of frozen assets from Roman Abramovich's sale of Chelsea Football Club to Ukraine, warning that the Russian former owner that the government was prepared to take him to court if he failed to release the funds. And Bondi atrocity stirs dread of ISIS's persisting menace. This is the Islamic State group, which caused absolute carnage and havoc across the Middle East and North Africa 10 years ago, 15 years ago now, Jesus. The rise of that particular terror group was devastating. It was very, very fast that it grew up, and caused a lot of pain and suffering and death across the Middle East and North Africa. And there's still people who are adherents to its cruel and crazy fucking ideology. Now we've got the briefing here. Monzo investors press to have ex-chief reinstalled. Sorry, the quality of this isn't very good. Public funds for AI push. Putin renews war threat. Russia will not back down from its mission to liberate historic lands. Fuck off. Oracle deal, data deal on hold. National split in prosperity. The London property. National split on property. London prices fell 2.4% in the year to October, the fastest pace in nearly 2 years, on the back of a steep decline in the cost of flats. Nationally, property prices, though, rose 1.7%. Tricolo charges laid. Prosecutors have charged senior executives at the subprime car lender in connection with alleged systematic fraud. Coal resists green ideals. Global coal demand is set to hit a record high this year after political support in the US. What a depressing fucking story that is there. And then US draws tech battle lines. The Trump administration has threatened European groups with punitive steps in retaliation to the EU's harassing of US technology giants with tax and fines and regulations. How dare they? How very dare they? We go back to the Metro here with the Starmer with 2.5 billion Chelsea transfer demand. And we have adverts for knickers now. That's cool. Oracle, so that's Ellison again. Yes, it is. He's a scumbag. Netflix offer is only part of the business. Skydance is for the whole business. But Warner has been in a mess ever since AOL merger that removed Ted Turner. Yes, AOL Time Warner. That went well, didn't it? America Online. Remember them? Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Crazy House. I've got to sign up for Concert Archives. I can't be arsed signing up for that. Go away. But yeah. I thought that I didn't dream that. I thought that actually happened, and it did happen, so that's good. It's good that happened. It's good that wasn't a thing that my brain made up for some stupid reason. And I've still got the ticket, so I can prove it. Martin, that my sign off line is from a Carter song. You do? Yeah, does Martin get onto that? I hope that someone out there gets onto that. I was a huge Carter fan back in the day. Their first 2 albums are absolute fucking magic, and I'm always fond of a pun. I mean, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want some punk rock puns? Then Carter USM, they're the band for you. I guess because I was into them before Britpop really kicked off, before grunge kicked off in America. So it was like Carter in sort of 1990, 91. And then it was like, obviously, it all went to grunge after that, and Nirvana and Soundgarden, Pearl Jam and stuff. And Green Day, I guess, with punk pop. But then, yeah, and then obviously we had this wave of Britpop bands, and just the mid-90s were just so good for music. Like, so even the also rans like put out at least a couple of good songs. It was just a great time to go to gigs. Now you want to go to a gig, it's going to be a band where everyone on stage is 60 years old, and it's going to cost you £60 to get in. And what's the fucking point? Elle says, I predict this when MAGA things end, the water will rise and there'll be a shortage of bamboo. Because under the water, it will be the only place they can hide. Are they going to be sucking through the bamboo? I can't believe you'll sit on the floor of the crazy house. Well, it wasn't the end of the night. Do you know, back in the day, right, one of my mates was in the mosh pit and lost a contact lens. And they managed to stop everyone. And everyone stood back. And they found the contact lens on the floor of the crazy. This actually happened. I'm not making this up. Right in the middle of the fucking mosh pit. It's all like beer and sticky floors and everything. And everyone's going, what's happened? Oh, lad's lost his contact lens. So everyone stops. Everyone stops dancing to look for this fucking contact lens. And they found it. They found the fucking This is back in the day when contact lenses weren't disposable. They were dead expensive. And there you go. Great days. Apparently, the Wet singer, Party Pello, I think it was Marty Pello, isn't it, has been diagnosed with arthritis. He said, I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. Jesus. Pete, please, don't make me bring out the squeaky tank, Pete. Don't make me bring it out. They need to start whacking massive tariffs on Musk's products. Yes, Andy, I can't believe you found it. I didn't find it. Someone else found it. A stranger found it on the floor of the dance floor of the crazy house. Just absolute bloody insanity. Absolute insanity. A panda. Get it, says Pete. What, you hungry? They're deporting the pandas now. Don't tell Farage. God, my God. Yeah, you're right. Coming over here, eating our bamboo. Richie Goff says he's both, Graham. Are you talking about Brian Molko? Marco Polo. Ghost Bells, new band playing in Manchester in Feb. Not expensive. Brilliant band. EBM Goth. Oh, yeah, okay, well, I'll be up for that. I mean, look, there are still bands that are just trying to make it, but it's a lot more difficult now. It's a lot more difficult. If you're on the dole, you're supposed to be looking for jobs every second that you're awake, and getting no time to rehearse, and just transportation, getting the kit, to the venue to just do a fucking gig that you don't get paid for. Another joke, Kajagoogoo have reformed. Tickets for the gig are £60, but they only have £58. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I need to know more about Kajagoogoo to get that one, I'm afraid. Anyway, we talking about Kajagoogoo yesterday in our list of terrible fucking music tunes. Great tunes and terrible tunes. If you didn't watch it, Rachel and I on the rabbit hole yesterday, we went through the best and the worst Christmas songs of all time. Well, I mean, I say all time, but we stopped making Christmas songs in 1994, and we haven't made any since. So someone shouts out in the chat, now, the Darkness did one. It's like, oh. Did they? Too shy. Yes, Liz Allen, too shy. Right, I'm going to go, says Chris C. I'm getting off as well. Thanks for the show, Graham, and thanks for the amazing community. Oh, that's so kind. Okay, I'm going to try and do a show later today, and I like the emphasis on the word try, because obviously everything is a little bit upended by it being Christmas, and I've got to get packed and moving and stuff. There's things to do. Not moving house, but And I'm going to Liverpool to see my family over Christmas, so I'll be setting up to do that. But hopefully 6 o'clock today, 6 o'clock, we might be doing a show. So if we are, what you need to do, first of all, give us a like, please. Give us a subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. And if we do go live at 6 o'clock, you will be notified to let you know on your phone, on your mobile device. It'll say, Graham is going to be talking shite here on Politics Social. Yes, I hope you will join us for that. And until then, or if I don't see you at 6 tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, got a packed day tomorrow. We've got 9 o'clock. We've got the morning brew with me, Graham Hughes, and then we've got the agenda at 1 o'clock with me and Phil Morehouse, which will be discussing the fact that they are doing an inquiry into Russian meddling in our democracy, which is what I said they should do 2 weeks ago. And yes, we will also be having the Friday night social, I hope, on Friday night, God willing, and join us for that. That's at 9:30 tomorrow. So until then, I'll love you and leave you. Give us a like. Go on, give us a like. Go on. Give us a job. Give us a job. I could do that. Give us a job. Give us a like. Give us a like. And until next time, I'll say thanks so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.